When the words coming out of your mouth are true and you believe what you're saying, that's authenticity. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of I Am Nineveh. I'm really excited to dive deep. Today we're going to go deep into this topic. But first, I wanted to let you guys know, if you're listening either on iTunes or Spotify, thank you so much. I wanted to let you know that the show is now officially on YouTube. So if you happen to be watching or seeing some of the clips that I'm posting on Instagram from these episodes and my show, then you'll notice a new background, which is this amazing wallpaper. And I'm so excited about it. I had no idea wallpaper could make such a difference in terms of the vibe when you walk into my office and podcast studio. How didn't I know? I know that environment impacts everything. So I'm actually in the middle of putting the studio together, redoing my office, up-leveling everything for 2023, including up-leveling what I'm bringing to this show. So thank you so much for being along on the journey. If this is your first episode, welcome. If you've been here all along, thank you so much. So I actually posted on social media what the office is going to look like. So I've got the awesome wallpaper up, but I don't have anything else in yet. So you'll have to stay tuned to see what it looks like. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to get to the topic, I promise. But I wanted to share this story because I was in the bathroom getting ready really quickly, and I'm actually like professional up on the top, and I'm wearing workout shorts at the bottom because you can't see the full body in the videos just yet, but you will be able to see them once the studio is done. So I'll have to think about what pants or skirt or whatever I'm going to wear. But I was thinking about this in the restroom in a story I wanted to share because I am turning 42 and I can't even believe it. Like, what? I'm 42 years old already? By the time you listen to this, I will have already turned 42. I'm in my 40s, y'all. I can't even believe it. And here's the thing. I looked in the mirror and I literally was like, damn, I look good. What is your self-talk, by the way? What is your self-talk? I think I've done an episode about that, but I know that I have talked about the importance of self-talk. And I'm just so proud and happy that I looked in the mirror and I said, damn, I look good. And here's why. There's a story attached to this. So when I was a young duckling in my 20s and I was an intern at a television news station in Oakland, California, it was KTVU, one of my mentors had actually taken me to a lunch with a group of male executives. And I just point out male. I don't know why I did, but, because women would never say something like this to another woman. I hope not anyway. But I'm sitting here as a young duckling in my 20s with my mentor who really was encouraging me to get into broadcast and into television news. And we're sitting and eating lunch and, proud that I wasn't really all that intimidated. But they were TV executives. And so my mentor had told them, I just want to introduce you to Nineveh. She's going to be, she's a rising star. She's going to be amazing. I really appreciated his belief in me. And one of the male executives looked at me and said, she looks great now. The question is, what is she going to look like 20 years from now? Wow. And do you want to know what my response was to that little, I'm not going to curse on this show? I said, well, you should see my mother. Everybody thinks she's my sister and she's twice my age. Boom, mic drop. So here's my point. I'm looking in the mirror because here I am. I'm out of TV news. I've been out for over a decade and I'm just so excited about this show. Why? Because it's something I've always wanted to do and I've waited almost a decade to actually do it since my exit. And the beauty about technology and today's world is that anybody can have a show. So we've essentially democratized it for everyone. And I love that. So you don't just have to have gone to college and studied broadcast in order to share a message or a story. You can be anyone who has a voice, right? Who has value to add. And that really excites me. And I just want to say, thinking back to that story, about 20 years ago, here I am, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. I told you I still look good. So what is today's topic? Today's topic is actually this message. Thanks for listening to that, by the way. Hopefully you got something out of it. Access denied. No trespassing allowed. That is just one of my many new mantras for 2023. Who are you allowing into your life whose shelf life has long expired? Who are you giving a hall pass to that doesn't deserve that chance yet again? And not just who, but also what are you allowing into your life that doesn't belong there anymore? What continues to stay that needs to go? You see, when we allow people to actually stick around, that those people have continuously broken our boundaries without regard, and who have repeatedly been given multiple chances, those hall passes, without a change in their behavior, we actually send a strong signal to our unconscious mind that our feelings don't matter. It is that serious. When we don't matter, we're saying our feelings and our needs don't matter. And so every time you negotiate with your boundaries, your standards, you violate yourself. And when you violate yourself, you impact your confidence and ability to make decisions. And I am one of those people, by the way. This is why I have picked this topic, because I have struggled with it myself. And I've had to recently draw some very strong boundaries, as much as it hurts and as painful as it has been and continues to be, so that I don't do this, which is violating myself. And I realize how much impact this has in our lives when we violate ourselves because we're allowing people into our lives that shouldn't be there, or allowing them in without boundaries, or allowing them to continuously break those boundaries because we negotiate with them. So I want to talk about this because I think it's really important, and we're still at the beginning of 2023, and everyone's still really excited about their goals. And so I think it's important to just really just like hit you with this, right? Today, we're going to dive deep into removing the clutter from your life. We're going to remove it. How are we going to do that? I'm going to talk about that. And so it could be the clutter in your closet. By the way, do you ever clean your closet? I clean it out pretty regularly. I like to clean it out quarterly and then donate those clothes. And just yesterday, literally, my in-laws were in town. My husband and I were at a mastermind for 4 days, and my wonderful in-laws were there hanging out with our daughter, playing with her, watching her, helping us out as they always do, which we so appreciate. Wow. By the way, does it not take a village? It takes a village. I didn't really understand that saying until I became a mother. It takes a village to make it happen, and I'm so appreciative of my village, from my in-laws to also, all of our staff at Superhuman. They are a part of the village, and it feels like family, and it's amazing, and I'm really grateful for that. So here I am. It's the evening time, and I'm under the sink. I'm getting to the point. I'm under the sink. I'm sitting down on the floor in my bathroom, and I noticed, it's getting pretty packed with stuff. And so I sat for about 15 minutes, and I'm wondering, what is all this stuff? Like, what kind of junk do I have in here? I'm really, really curious about this. The stuff that I actually brought to Arizona from Utah over 2 years ago. Oh, yeah. There were things in there that are 2.5 years old. I'm not kidding you. So we're talking like feminine care products, makeup, skincare products, random plugs and cords from I don't know what. And so I'm rummaging around. I have a large garbage bag with me because I had every intention of cleaning stuff out, and not just cleaning it out, but throwing some things out. See, some things shouldn't even be donated because they're that junky and that bad. They're just in such poor condition, and you've been allowing it to stick around that it's trash. It's not even a gift to anyone else. Think about that analogy for a second, right? But here I'm rummaging around with a large garbage bag, and I was looking at some of the stuff that I had actually kept, and I couldn't believe it. The expiration date on some of these items was like 2020. From 2020. That's 3 years ago. And so I ask you, what in your life has an expiration date, that is still in your environment? What in your life has long expired, like old makeup and feminine care products and I don't know what, that you continue to keep around, even though you have absolutely no use for it? And by the way, once it is expired, it's literally trash. So not only do you not have any use for it, but nobody else has any use for it either. And where does it go? It goes to the landfill. Not good. Didn't use it. Didn't even use it. Man, sometimes we don't even use our stuff. What is that about, right? Just sometimes consuming too much, right? So what in your life has long expired that you're keeping around underneath that bathroom sink, girlfriend? Or man, if you're listening, because I know a lot of guys listen to this show as well, so thank you. We have absolutely no use for lotion that expired 2 years ago, yet we keep it. Tuck it away, hide it, put it under the sink, thinking we're not going to notice until one day the junk under the sink is literally overflowing and you can't possibly fit any more or anything else under there. Now imagine if we do this with stuff. If we do this with stuff, and we all do it. If you don't do it, I want to know your secret. But we all do it, and we do it, right? Some of us more than others. That imagine that if we do this with stuff, chances are there are people in our lives that have an expiration date, yet we keep them around. They are like the things under your bathroom sink. I hate to say that. You don't see them often, but they're still there. They're still taking up space, taking up physical space and mental space. Because here's the thing with people, even exposing yourself to small doses of negativity actually have massive implications. You see, the reason so many people do not reach their goals is because they're hanging on to the old. And when you hold on to the old, you don't have room for the new because there is literally nowhere to fit it. Now, ever notice when you clean out your closet, new clothes arrive? Oh, it's pretty magical. Or sometimes it's just that you notice the clothes you actually want to wear, but didn't because they were hidden from your view all this time because you had all this other stuff, all this junk that didn't belong there. So sometimes, think about this, okay? Because we oftentimes have this saying, like, out with the old, in with the new. This is the opposite of that. Sometimes cleaning up isn't just about allowing the new to come in. Sometimes and oftentimes cleaning up can reveal something that is already there, that has been there all along, and that you needed to see. Yeah, I actually think that's pretty profound when I say it out loud, because that saying, out with the old, in with the new, out with the old to make room for what's been there all along. Not that now that there's space for things to show up, but that there's space for things to reveal themselves finally. The things you couldn't see before are now revealed because the clutter has been cleared, the junk completely removed. So I think you understand the importance of this concept. What are you cleaning out, or what are you cleaning up this year? And by the way, who are you denying access to? That's what I want to know. And how do you plan to change your environment to support those decisions? Those are the three components. We're 15 minutes in. I think I got another 15 to 20 in me, okay? Now, those are the three components. So it's not just enough to actually clean things out, and it's not enough to just cut someone off. You're going to have to create an environment to support those decisions and behaviors so that you don't go back to where you were on those decisions. When it comes to clearing the clutter or cutting people out or limiting your availability to them, denying access to you, it's really easy to clean out the junk underneath the bathroom sink. So what I did yesterday is I started with an intention, right? I'm going to clean this out. And so what? It took me like 15 minutes max to clean out the clutter from underneath the bathroom sink. But who's to say that the same thing won't happen again about 6 months later, y'all? It's full again with different crap now that you don't use and that eventually expires. Like, how many times has that actually happened to you? How many times has that happened to me? This is why I'm asking this question. So to put some of this into practice, I think the easiest thing to do is actually practice physically removing items from your home that no longer need to be taken up space. Clean out a closet, clean out the storage underneath your bathroom sink, clean out those drawers. Now, how would you change the environment so this doesn't happen again? I would say, for example, with drawers, get the drawer organizers, which creates the compartments for you. This provides a confine of what can be placed inside the drawer and how much of it. So think about that. Those organizational compartments, I don't know what they're called, but in my mind, I'm like, they're like organizational compartments. That's what they are. They become not the drawer. The drawer is not the environment. The drawer is the foundation, the base. Here, anyone can use the drawer, right? The organizational compartments actually become the new environment for the drawer, which helps you avoid having drawers that overflow and become completely chaotic. Because think of a drawer, like in the bathroom. It's just this plain thing, and there's no compartments. And so, unless you're super organized or very intent on keeping it clean, eventually over time, it just fills up, and then you can't find things, and you're rummaging around. You just get frustrated. All that is just chaos. It's pure chaos in those drawers, right? So if you change the environment of the drawer by getting those organizational compartments, now you create a new environment which has some confines, some rules as to, what you put where and how much of it you put there, right? So leaving a drawer is just the foundation. We got to think about how we change the environment to help us reach the original intention or goal that we have. So to me, getting rid of the stuff is actually the easy part. It's people that we all have the most difficult time with. To change our circle of friends means actually changing your entire identity. To change who we surround ourselves with sometimes means changing our workplace. To change our careers, it's a big deal. To remove toxic people from our lives, sometimes it means wrestling with those feelings of guilt and shame when we are removing toxic people from our lives. Even though they're toxic and we know that they're toxic, sometimes we feel guilty and shame because some people out there are people pleasers, right? Especially difficult with family members, wouldn't you say? And I know that's a really touchy topic, and I'm not going to dive too deep into that, but you don't have to remove people from your life completely unless that's what your situation, of course, calls for. And some people's situation completely calls for that, a removal of friends and sometimes family members. But what you can do is limit the exposure that you have through boundaries. Here's the problem, though. If you have boundaries and you negotiate with those boundaries, or the people that you have boundaries with don't listen to those boundaries, don't respect those boundaries, and always violate those boundaries and don't change their behavior as a result of those boundaries, then, unfortunately, you may end up in the bucket where you may have to completely remove them, maybe not permanently, but for a period of time. You can deny access to the areas of your life that you don't want these people to have influence on, and that's very important. You should deny access to people who are toxic, because whether you realize it or not, everyone around you in your environment that you allow into your world has an impact on you. They have influence on you and sometimes over you if you have too much exposure to them. Because here's the thing, that no matter how positive you are, and I sure can be a positive Patty, and I wouldn't say I'm positive Patty all the time, but even if you have dug deep into mindset training, mindset work, and you're very conscious of your environment, and you've bettered yourself, and you've completely changed your identity, and you're ascending and you're progressing in life, right? You're on that upward motion. You're climbing up the mountain. No matter how positive you are, when you step into a negative situation, your emotional state and your frame has to be so strong to withstand that negativity. And over time, if you keep exposing yourself to that vibration of negativity, your frame begins to shake and becomes weakened. It's very difficult on willpower alone to stay positive in an environment like that, so you better set yourself up for success. See, eventually, if you stick around long enough into that negative environment, it's going to swallow you up. And before long, you get sucked back in and back down and become someone you weren't before you walked in. It's like that famous story of the crabs in a bucket. And here's the analogy, straight from Wikipedia, because it's so good. And I'm not even going to reinvent the story, and I love it. So here's what it says, and it's a quote. Crab mentality, also known as crab theory. Did you know that? Crabs in a bucket. So we've got crab mentality, crab theory, crabs in a bucket is what we oftentimes hear it referred to as, also barrel, basket, or pot mentality, or the crab bucket effect. This is the crab bucket effect, is a way of thinking best described by the phrase, quote, if I can't have it, neither can you. The metaphor is actually derived from anecdotal claims about the behavior of crabs when they are trapped in a bucket. While any one crab could easily escape, the claim is its efforts will be undermined by others, ensuring the group's collective demise. Back to, if I can't have it, neither can you. The theory in human behavior is that members of a group will attempt to reduce the self-confidence of any member who achieves success beyond the others out of envy, jealousy, resentment, spite, conspiracy, or competitive feelings to halt their progress. The same claims about behavior are embodied in the phrase tall poppy syndrome. The tall poppy syndrome is a cultural phenomenon in which people hold back, criticize, or sabotage those who have or are believed to have achieved notable success in one or more aspects of life, particularly intellectual or cultural wealth, cutting down the tall poppy. Commonly in Australia and New Zealand, cutting down the tall poppy is used to describe those who deliberately put down another for their success and achievements. Can you tell I used to be a broadcaster or what? So there you have it. This is precisely why you cannot surround yourself with crabs in your life. You must deny access to the crabs. You must remove the crabs out of your life, and you must climb out of that bucket. You must remove yourself out of that bucket, and I'm telling you cannot re-enter that bucket because they will drag you down. I have tried again and again to extend just a line of communication, just an inch, and you give crabs an inch and they want to just take all of you. They'll rip your damn legs off so that you can't climb out, and you'll be clawing out with your arms. We're all safe and happy and healthy here, by the way. But you get my point. Identify the crabs and tell them access denied. And now hold the line on that decision, because it is going to take a radical shift in your identity. It's going to take a radical shift in your environment. And shifting your environment is the fastest way to force yourself and propel yourself into a new identity. So think about the story that I shared at the very beginning of the show about the office and the wallpaper. Why am I doing that? Because I am creating a new environment for the show. I am creating it in an image that I see happening 5 years from now, 2 years from now, a year from now. I'm creating an entirely different environment so that when I step in to this new podcast studio, every cell in my body vibrates differently, and I show up as my new identity, my new self, my new and improved self. So we're going to actually dive deeper into identity in a future episode because that is a very fascinating topic. I've done it before, but there's so many components to identity, like how do you shift it? There's prescriptives on how to actually shift it, like things that you can do at home to start to make those shifts. But today I really wanted to get you thinking. I wanted to get you thinking about who and what. Who are you allowing into your life whose shelf life has long expired? Who are you giving a hall pass to that doesn't deserve that chance yet again? And not just who, but also what are you allowing into your life that doesn't belong there anymore? What continues to stay that needs to go? As always, thanks for listening to I Am Nineveh.